Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth from Elpis Astrology at elpisastrology.com. Thanks for joining me today. So this video is going to be my take on the astrology for September 2025. And of course, September 2025 is an eclipse month. We have two eclipses, one in Pisces, the other in Virgo. And that Virgo eclipse is the second new moon in a row for Virgo. We also have the fall equinox that's happening this month as well. So we're going to cover all those things in this video. Towards the end of the video, I will do all the sun signs and or ascendants. You pick whatever really resonates with you. I suggest you actually listen or watch both. Your ascendant to start off with, and then your sun sign. Both are important. Now, the other thing that we've got happening in terms of transits, we have Venus that will be in Leo pretty well the first half of September. And really, this is going to be exerting some, just a really nice energy with regards to authentically expressing ourselves to start off with, but also authentically expressing ourselves through love, right? Maybe even through children. These are all areas that are ruled by Leo. But there could be some folks also that attract in a creative project, maybe even attract in some money associated with a creative project as well. And then, of course, the second half of September, that Venus will go on into Virgo, and Virgo is very concerned about health. It's service-oriented. It also can represent small animals, for instance. So all these things may take on a different hue the latter half of September. And of course, also Virgo likes to collect important information. So this is the other thing more on a global standpoint or that type of thing, where maybe we will see important information come out the latter half of September. We have Uranus that will be turning retrograde just prior to the eclipse on the 6th of September. And that's going to be around that 1 degree mark of Gemini. And it will go back into Taurus, just the latter degrees of Taurus, but that'll be a final time. And then it'll be next year more fully ensconced in the sign of Gemini. And of course, Uranus going retrograde will join 3 other planets that are already retrograde, and that's Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto. On the 3rd till approximately the 6th of September, we have a beautiful transit of a trine between Jupiter and the North Nodes in Pisces. This is a beautiful setup. It really is. It's really helping us shine a light, maybe helping us even provide some growth with regards to our destiny path, especially our collective destiny. And if we look at Jupiter applying also to potentially foreign places, especially from a standpoint of, say, for us in a Western world, this can also have a new sort of positive introduction of something in a new destiny path for foreign nations as well. A trine tends to be easy energy, generally speaking. And then, of course, as that is happening and shining nicely and exerting some beautiful energy, we have the moon slipping the next day, the 7th of September, into that total full moon eclipse at 15 of Pisces. That will be at 11:09 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And that particular full moon falls into what's called the second decan of Pisces. And that is actually ruled by the moon. So it's interesting. To me, this adds that extra piece of information with regards to how are we going to be responding or feeling at this total full moon eclipse at 15 degrees of Pisces. And I would say there's going to be an emotional element here, maybe even a little bit of instability. That sort of thing could be coming into play here. But also there may be some focus on females, especially, say, motherhood of some sort as well. Daily habits could be up here. The moon can also represent, our family, our mother, that type of thing. So there may be more emphasis on that, especially from a global standpoint or a collective standpoint at that total full moon. But I'll delve into the details of this full moon eclipse next. The moon at this time will be conjunct the north nodes. So even though this is a full moon, that moon conjunct the north nodes really is saying to me, it's pointing at our collective destiny. And certainly if you have something around this, pay attention to what is illuminated at this time. Just because it's a full moon doesn't mean things are all going to end. It's because it's an eclipse. It can go either way. But generally speaking, full moons are endings, but they're also big illuminations, right? Think about that full moon, what it looks like. And so I see this as a big illumination of our collective destiny. And whatever happens around this, there's a big sort of sign that's saying, go here on this path if you want to stay on the right destiny path for yourself. And that's because that moon conjuncts the north nodes. So I think it's a new start. And if we take it out to the collective, that moon can represent the people. So this can be a whole new start for some people. The only thing is that this is both these moon and north nodes are in Pisces. And Pisces has another side to itself, right? It can bring in deception. It can also bring the energy of dissolving things. So there may be something dissolved around this time too, that has something to do with the people. Now, the other thing that this can bring in too, because Neptune rules the sea and water, it rules lots of things, but we'll just stick with the water here. I would say there could be some real water issues going on. So floods, torrential rains, that sort of thing, right? Could be occurring around this full moon, and a big illumination put in on our climate. Now we have Mercury conjunct the sun, as well as the south node, opposing the moon, right, and the north node. So again, this to me also suggests that, because that's in Virgo, right, Virgo rules health, amongst other things, this also to me emphasizes a health crisis from the past. And as I mentioned earlier, we already have stuff happening where things were eliminated pretty well from society, and now they're coming back. So that's going to be, I think, also an issue here too. Now, Jupiter is going to be squaring Mars at this time too. And the other thing, this full moon is going to be on a star called Sheat. And Sheat has a number of different things around it, depending if you want to use the really old version or the more modern one. But generally speaking, it does refer to greater mental activity. It talks about the intellect and logic, as opposed to emotional stuff, right? But it can also bring great misfortune. And with that Jupiter square Mars, that says to me that there may also be somebody wanting to take action, but again, the law coming in here saying, no, you can't do that, and somehow it being stopped. Now, the other thing that Libra can represent, and that's the Mars in Libra now, right, is diplomatic relations. And so there just may be some obstacles that have to be surmounted before greater emphasis and development can be put on diplomatic relations, right? When we look at the Sabian symbol for this Pisces eclipse, it says, and so we're looking at 16 degrees of Pisces, you always round up. It says, in the quiet of his study, a creative person experiences a flow of inspiration. And so this suggests, especially on a personal level, that's how I really read this, that you really need to quiet the mind in order for the creative process to actually develop and become something, right? To become tangible. The other thing that this can say, if I look at it more negatively, is there's going to be someone that refuses to listen about anything. They're just going to do what they want to do. And so that's the other part, where you could have inspiration and come up with something quite creative. There may also be someone who decides they don't want to do that. And in some ways, this is supported by Uranus, that will be sextiling Neptune, and trining Pluto. So this whole, it's a nice aspects when you've got sextiles and trines, but these are powerful planets we're talking about. And especially Uranus always brings in some kind of unexpected surprise, but it's also radical. That Uranus can be very radical. And then when you combine it with the Pluto, it's to me saying radical transformation here is required in order for us to achieve our ideals. The ideals is the Neptune part. Now, this can also bring in unexpected, fabulous pieces of art, a dance. Spirituality can be brought up here at this time. Even we can look at breakthroughs in, treating psychological problems can be brought in here too. And the psychological problems can be represented by both Neptune and certainly Pluto, right? And that's a trine that's happening here. So opportunities to treat, untoward, previously unable to treat psychological problems. And I know I keep an eye on this, and there is some very interesting beginnings of research in this area, and I suspect they're going to come out at this time as big breakthroughs. But if you are involved in any kind of creative project, so that's film, that's art, dance, music of any sort, this eclipse could bring in some fabulous inspiration for you. A tangible, not you get the inspiration, but then you produce it, right? Yeah. So the next eclipse that we have is going to be a new moon in Virgo, and it's at 29 degrees of Virgo. So this is the second new moon in a row for Virgo. The only thing that's different is the degrees. So in August, the degree point for the new moon was 0 degrees of Virgo. Now we're hurtling forward to the end of the sign of Virgo, and we're now at 29 degrees of Virgo. And even though this is a new moon, and certainly if you've got anything, say, around that 29 degrees of Virgo, this could actually be a second new start for you in some way, but more significant than the new moon that was in August, because of course this is an eclipse. And if you've got something around that 29 degree mark, you may actually have an effect from this eclipse right the way through the next 6 months. So the final eclipse that's going to be happening in 2025 is nicely going to be a new moon eclipse. It will be at 29 Virgo, 5 minutes on the 21st of September at 12:54 p.m. on that specific time. So there's a few things that are juxtaposed here. For those advanced students that know that 29 degrees of any sign really brings a big focus to the sign's qualities, that degree is a critical degree. It's called an anaretic degree. So even though this is a new moon eclipse in Virgo, that 29 degrees also brings a little bit of a finality to it too, to anything to do with Virgo type things. And we talked already about health. So we may have some solution here that comes to light because it's a new moon with regards to a health problem. But it can also bring to light a new opportunity to deal with some important facts that come to light at this eclipse around the 21st of September 2025. Now we have the sun and the moon together. That's a new moon. And it'll be conjunct Mercury just into Libra at this time. And so this says to me, important facts are going to be brought up our way with regards to probably diplomacy, the legal profession, that type of thing, right? Now, in some respects, that Libra can also represent, manners and, being nice to people as well. And Venus, of course, rules Libra. Now, although Venus doesn't rule this eclipse, it's Mercury that rules it. So you need to pay attention where Mercury is. And we just spoke about that. Venus is at 2 degrees of Virgo, not its favorite sign to be in, but importantly, it will be squaring newly minted Uranus in Gemini. And so this brings up, I would say there may be some challenges with regards to money. I think that's what Venus is representing here. It can also, though, represent females, for sure, where females speak out and give important facts, and they're not afraid about being a little radical about it or, upsetting the apple cart here. But I'm thinking that this is more money. Unexpected challenges with regard to money come to light with Uranus being in Gemini now, right? Now, that sun and moon will be opposite Saturn. And so to me, this also suggests that, again, those with the rules and regulations, the old institutions are going to be influencing this new start in some way. And maybe even putting a delay on things of some sort, right? We have Mars at 29 degrees of Libra too. So this brings in an element of laws being forced upon people. That's what I'm getting here, because don't forget that 29 degrees an anaretic degree, and it kind of squishes down and condenses all that energy of Libra. And so Mars is action, and then we've got the laws here. So this is putting the laws on people, the laws on things. I'm almost thinking also forcing diplomacy, which is kind of the opposite of what diplomacy is. Yeah. That Mars also widely squares Pluto, right? Because it's at 29 degrees, almost 1 degree of Scorpio. It'll square that Pluto, which I believe at this time is around 3 degrees. Let me just double check that. No, Pluto is retrograded back to 1 degree. So that really is a square, a full-on square. Now, at this new moon eclipse, we also have the eclipsed moon on a star called Denobula. And Denobula speaks to daring activities along with quick judgment, but this could lead to despair and regret. So if you have anything around this degree point of 29 degrees Virgo or 29 degrees of Pisces, just take care with whatever judgments you're making and whatever decisions that you want to make, especially decisions where you want to act right now. I would suggest that you take a breath and actually consider what you're doing here, right? It doesn't mean you shouldn't take action of some sort. It just says for sure with that star, Denobula, I would say you need to weigh things carefully and maybe even seek some advice. Nicely, we're going to have Jupiter in Cancer now in September, trining the North Node and sextiling the South Node. So to me, this is giving some real positive energy with regards to any new destiny path to do with Cancer-related things. So this is, motherhood. This is the homeland. This is our family, our mother, right? So that's a nice energy that's going to be going in there. The other two nice energies that we have is Neptune is going to be sextiling Pluto, And Uranus will be sextiling Pluto at this new moon eclipse. So this also suggests to me that there will be some opportunities here to make some real changes, real positive transformational change. When we look at that Sabian symbol, it says 4. So the 29 degrees becomes 30 degrees for the Sabian symbol when you round up the 29 degrees 05 of Virgo. So 30 degrees of Virgo says, totally intent on a task, a man is deaf to any allurement. Therefore, any intentional and decision or event. So I would say that this kind of backs up what I was saying with that star, the effect of that star on this eclipse. It's a person who's like single-mindedly, so this is going to be probably for the collective, although individually this could happen to you too. The single-mindedness of, I'm going to do this. This is going to be what we're doing. And just not paying attention to anything, being deaf to any allurement. So I suppose just be aware of that on an individual basis. Seek out advice. It doesn't mean you got to take it, but sometimes getting advice or just rethinking things can actually help out with this new start for you. Now, we've got 2 yods occurring as well here, right? So, we've got 2 yods occurring. And it's interesting, it's rare to have 2 yods at an eclipse, but this final eclipse has it. So what is it? The 2 planets that are at the base are Uranus, that's going to be in Gemini now, and Neptune, that will be in Aries. And they're pointing to that Mars at 29 degrees of Libra, right? Remembering that 29 degrees is an anaretic degree. It focuses and concentrates the energy of Mars and Libra. So this says to me, action, Mars, which is the featured planet here, through opportunities potentially in diplomacy and utilizing the law. Now, the other thing that Mars is going to be doing, it's going to be opposite Chiron. So there could also be an emphasis here on having to take some action with regards to some big health issues. And I think that's on a global stage. But again, this is bringing in this yod, laws, right? Diplomacy. The other yod has the 2 base planets of Neptune in Aries and Pluto in Aquarius, pointing to Venus at 2 degrees of Virgo. So this refers to, I think, money again. There's going to be some powerful transformation here with regards to our money on a global stage. Important information is going to come out about it. Now, Virgo as a sign is on the conservative side, but it likes to get things right. And it tends to be, or can be, insistent on everything being perfect, everything being right. But that Pluto and Neptune energy is asking for transformation here, right? To move forward with something regarding our money. But this could also feature literally a female or female things, right? Or the feminine is highlighted here. Now that Venus that both that Neptune and Pluto are pointing at in this yod is square Uranus. So I would say that there's going to be some energy here that is going to be challenging unexpectedly to fit in this new way we look at money. But like I said, this could be a new way we look at the feminine, or we look at literally a female. And the other thing that's going to be happening here is, I'll just take a look to see exactly when it is. I talked about Venus being in Leo the first half and then Venus going into Virgo. So it will be important when Venus gets to 29 degrees when it actually aspects this eclipse that I'm just talking about now. Let's just see when that is. So that's going to be the following month of October, and I'll talk about it then. But we're looking at probably the 13th of October. For those especially that have something around that 29-degree mark, Venus will then aspect that. And Venus tends to take the rough edges off things, soften things nicely. It could bring in maybe that new start for some of these folks that are watching, brings money in October for you. Maybe even brings something to do with love or your value, right? But it is related to the eclipse on the 21st of September. Now, the decan that is involved here with this eclipse is the third decan, and that is ruled by Venus. So again, this kind of emphasizes to me that we need to pay attention in October as well with regards to whatever the newness is that comes out at this eclipse in Virgo on the 21st of September. You'll have a reactivation in October. The Venus part of it, as I mentioned, associated with the eclipse itself, I would say, again, this softens any hard edges. It can bring in love. It can bring in greater value for you. It can bring in money for you. That type of thing can certainly come in. And I like this effect because if we think about it, the new moon always has the moon and the sun together. So the moon and the sun in Virgo really emphasizes Virgo type things. And then having this Venus offsetting it a bit makes things a little more palatable. So let's just say at this eclipse, on a global stage or collective standpoint, we have more information coming out, maybe more critical information coming out. And personally, we may enter into an analysis paralysis. Well, Venus will help pull us out of that and make it a little softer and maybe not so serious. So I do like this new moon eclipse. The only thing I've got to say is that 29 degrees, just like the 0 degrees, are critical degrees. But differently, that 29 degrees is a culmination. It's wrapping up the Virgo energies, right? And so in some ways, although this is a new moon, that 29 degree also says this is a wrap up of some sort. And it can intensify Virgo type things. And as I mentioned, those Virgo type things can be analysis paralysis. It can be too much attention to the details. But favorably, it can also bring up a new light on information coming in, either personally or on the global stage, and that's collectively, right? So right after that, on the next day, on the 22nd of September, we have the fall or autumnal equinox come in here. And what's interesting, even in one day, we have everything now shifting into Libra, right? So we have the sun, we have the moon, and we have Mercury all in Libra at this fall equinox. And so this really emphasizes things that are Libran, and that's legal matters. That is diplomacy, maybe at an all-time high. And this effect, of course, will last for a few months till we enter into the winter solstice, and we have a new set of things coming our way. Yeah, and I mean, on a personal basis, that equinox can, if you have, say, something around the degrees, and you can see the chart up here, you can take a look at where the sun, the moon, and the Mercury is in Libra. If you've got something around those degrees, you may be affected by this. And the effect may last for a little while, but you may be trying to balance things in your life as well. Harmony is sought out when we're talking about Libra too. I've just put a picture up here that I took when I volunteered my services at the San Diego Astrological Society Bazaar that happened in August. I sure appreciate everybody coming out. I think it was a really successful event for the society. And in fact, I'm going to be going to the San Diego Astrological Society in September. It's going to be Friday, the 12th of September, around 7 p.m. And of course, that's in San Diego. I will be giving a lecture on decans. And I'm just putting a request out to my viewers as well as my clients and as well as people who will be attending the lecture. If you would like me to take a look at your chart, I'm going to be having an interactive session, probably half of my lecture, looking at either the sun, the moon, and the ascendant, or maybe all three, in people's personal natal chart, and helping folks understand how you can add that information in to get a better understanding of things in your chart as well when you use the decan itself. So I'm going to take the first 10 charts. You can send that to elpisastrology@gmail.com. I will put up that email here for you so you can go directly into it. But feel free, if you're watching this and it is before the 12th of September, you can actually send that in to me. And we will record this lecture and I will post it up on YouTube so you can take a look at whatever I analyzed in your chart from a decan standpoint, right? So when we look at the October 2025 astrological little peek, we're going to have a full moon in Aries, a new moon in Libra. Mercury will be in detective mode Scorpio, and Pluto will go direct at that time. So let's move on to a look at your personal ascendant and or sun sign. So for Pisces, that total full moon eclipse falls in your first house. So this really speaks to something very personal. But hey, that second new moon is in your 7th house. So for this September, and depending if you do have, say, something around that degree point of 15 degrees Pisces, the effects that I'm talking about may carry on longer. This September, Pisces, is really saying it's about you, for sure. Probably something wrapping up in some way, but it's also about your partners, right? So both eclipses fall into those territories. And in many ways, there may even be more of a focus on your partner. Why? Because that total full moon eclipse on the 7th, 15 degrees of Pisces, because it's a full moon, we know that the sun is going to be in the opposite sign to where the moon is. And that'll be in your 7th house. So you're going to have, for the first eclipse, the sun in the 7th house. The second eclipse, both the sun and the moon will be in the 7th house. So I think when I looked at this, I felt there was going to be a big focus on your marriage, your business partnerships, and clients. And it may be something as simple as something gets wrapped up. Let's just say it's a business partnership. You decide that you want to change your business partnership. Maybe you want to stop doing a business and either work on your own or maybe go back into the corporate world. And that's the dynamic that happens for the whole month of September. You end something and then you begin something with regards to business and or your job and career type thing. It can also be a big change with regards to, say, your marriage. Maybe you've been working on your marriage the way it was, and now you're able to change it. And something ends with regards to how you were conducting it. But it's the ending that is in yourself. So you're the one who actually makes the changes. That's reflected out into a new start for your marriage on the 21st when we get that new moon, right? Now, we do have, as I said, that second new moon in the 7th house. In Virgo, that can bring, say there's some new information coming in for your partner. So it could literally be your partner. Now, a thing that could be happening for some Pisces is that you actually get married this month of September. What a beautiful month to get married, right? And that could be, for some Pisces, that could be the thing that happens. Let's just say on that 7th of September, you do end something, and it's a major thing. You end being single and take on this mantle of a partnership in marriage. And that partnership in marriage just flourishes through September. Maybe there's things that you will be doing. Maybe you'll be meeting with, say, on the 21st, that new moon, you meet with some of the family. your family, his family, their family. That could be it. You take your honeymoon at that time. So that could also be up here as a positive thing that can happen too. Certainly that first full moon, Pisces, is going to be emotional, but it doesn't have to be emotional, bad emotional, right? It can just be bringing a lot of feelings to the surface. And as I mentioned, for some, that may actually be a marriage month. That's what the September turns out to be. We do have Saturn going back at 27 to 29 degrees of Pisces, right? That's what the retrograde of Saturn is going to bring you back into those degrees. So for those Pisces that do have something, say around the 27th to the 29th degree of Pisces, there may be a final revisiting of a reality check, of taking on a new responsibility. There's that final side to it as Saturn goes back into your sign, Pisces. And again, this doesn't have to be bad, but you do have to have something around those degrees that Saturn retrogrades back to 27 to 29 degrees. And then next year, Pisces, you are going to have, mostly you're going to have that Saturn, as well as your ruler, Neptune, go into Aries on a full-time basis. Now, a significant time for you, I'm just going to give you advance notice here, is going to be around that 17th of February, 2026, when both Saturn and Neptune, your ruler, will exactly conjunct at around 1 degree of Aries. So that could be an important time for you too. I'll talk more about it in my February video. But that to me said, you've got both of these planets now out of your sign, and there's movement forward in new things, right? New starts. And for you, that new start may be second house related, which is a new income, new job, right? All right, I'll talk about that more later. Take care, Pisces. So Aries, we have that full moon total eclipse at 15 degrees of Pisces in your 12th house. So this is going to be illuminating something with regards to maybe a hidden place of some sort. Hidden places, as defined by the 12th house, typically we think about hospitals. Doesn't mean you're going to be going to a hospital because of ill health. It could just be that you're having to dispense some compassion, that's the Pisces part, to someone who maybe is in the hospital or in a hospital-like setting of some sort. But it can also be things like ashrams. This would be a perfect time to go to something like an ashram or some place where you're being nurtured, where there's compassion being given to you, and maybe you connect with the metaphysical world. This time period around that 7th of September would be an excellent time to do that, Aries. But it can also bring an illumination of some sort, like this is a full moon, right? To maybe some aspect of your life that needs to be cleaned up. The 12th house, a lot of times we talk about cleaning things up here, right? And maybe you had nothing to do with it. Maybe was confusion over something that's not been clear to you. And this full moon puts a big focus on it and says, no, this is what you need to know. This is what really needs to be cleared up or cleaned up. So that new moon, that's going to be at 29 degrees of Virgo, Aries, is going to be in your 6th house. So this is a new start. Maybe there's going to be some Aries that start a new job. 6th house is what we do day to day. For those folks that don't work and that maybe are retired, this could be a new start and new activities for you on the 21st of September. It can also be a new start with regards to anything to do with health. Be a great time to start a new exercise regimen, to decide that you want to take better care of the things you put in your body, your nutritional standpoint. But it can also be mental health too. And I've talked about this before in other videos, but if we take the combination of working, the day-to-day work that we do, or the day-to-day things that we do, maybe we're doing too much of that. And this new moon says, you know what, I think I need to take better care of my mental health here and not work so hard. Introduce something that is really favorable for me, that makes me maybe enjoy myself. And I spoke about that whole Venus being in Leo the first half of September, emphasizing things like enjoying yourself, being creative, having fun. That's very Leo-like. So especially at that first eclipse, maybe look carefully at what's going on in your life. And then at that new moon on the 21st of September, maybe make some changes that are going to be beneficial for you in terms of taking care of yourself. That's what I got at this for sure. Now, we will have Neptune at about 1 degree of Aries. So certainly for those Aries that do have something around 1 degree of Aries, you're going to have Neptune on top of it. Now, positively, Neptune can bring in some very favorable inspiration, especially in Aries, with regards to maybe music of any sort. Creativity certainly falls in the realm of Neptune, but it really emphasizes more music. Dance is also featured here. So if you are in that area with regards to, say, a career, there could be some real emphasis here put on that and some real inspiration that comes in for you. But the other thing that, Neptune can do is put a shroud in some ways over things. So let's just say you had your Mercury at 1 degree of Aries, and there will be some people watching that have that. Neptune can bring in a couple of things. If you're in music, for instance, or write poetry, it could be off the charts in terms of inspiration. But it could also have some communications either being confused or not clear. So I would say if that is the case for some Aries, make sure you ask questions, and any communications of any sort that don't make sense, again, ask questions, clear up the misunderstanding, right? But inspiration could be pretty big here for you, Aries. And like I mentioned with Pisces, in a different way though, we're going to have that Saturn and Neptune conjunct at 1 degree around the 17th of February. So Aries, just as a sign, that could also be a turning point of some sort with regards to some major inspiration. It's like making reality from your dreams. That 17th of February could be very important for Aries, generally speaking. But if you got something around 1 degree of Aries, it will be off the charts for you. Take care, Aries. So Taurus, that first total full moon eclipse at 15 degrees of Pisces, sextiles your sign. That means it brings opportunities to you, brings opportunities to the 11th house. Typically, we talk about the 11th house as our friends, the groups that we belong to. It's our hopes, dreams, and wishes, kind of what we really want in our life. And so this is bringing in some concluding energy of some sort here, right? And because it's total, it could be very, very important for you. You may have friends bring you information, for instance, that is important for you to help your hopes, dreams, and wishes come true. You may find that a friend that you have facilitates you having a dream come true. A group could act in the same way. Alternatively, there may be some Taurians that decide to leave some friends that are maybe not supporting them in whatever way, or leave a group that they belong to that isn't supporting them or doesn't reflect your values anymore, right? That could be very prominent. Now, sextile is an easy aspect. It's different from the trine in that it says, here's an opportunity for you. You can take it or leave it. Whereas a trine kind of just operates in many ways in the background, making things easier for you in certain areas. And yes, indeed, you do have a trine this month in September. It's at that following eclipse at 29 degrees of Virgo, and that's going to be in your 5th house. Well, there is going to be some Taurians that will fall in love. That's the newness, because 5th house does represent that. A creative project could manifest for some Taurians at this time. And certainly if it's something to do with gathering information and facts, important information and facts, that's going to be even more emphasized here. Children may be of great benefit to you for some reason. And indeed, there may be some Taurians that have a baby at this time, or maybe they get pregnant. It is a new moon after all. Something to look forward to if that's something you want in your life. But overall, I really felt with this eclipse on the 21st, that love was in the air. Having fun was in the air. And I think there's been a lot of Taurians that, have really slogged through, especially with that Uranus in your sign. It's not quite out of your sign yet. It will go in the latter degrees of your sign before heading out completely again. So I think this is an opportunity, a new opportunity for you to take the reins in your life with regards to enjoying yourself. You've got lots of opportunities here at this new moon, for sure. Take care, Taurus. So, Gemini, I'm just going to start off here with actually, Uranus at this time is retrograde, but it is at 1 degree of your sign, Gemini. And so you've got that operating in there at this eclipse month, right? So there could be some wake-ups and shake-ups. Now, typically we say it should be around that degree point that it is at, which is 1 degree of Gemini. So check to see where you actually have your Gemini placements. If you do have something around that 1 degree, Uranus may very well, I'm thinking, spring you free of something, help you get out of a situation maybe that you don't want to be in. Now, let's go to the moons. So the moons, both of these moons, these eclipses in September square your sign, Gemini, but it doesn't mean it's all bad, right? Please don't go in that direction. But let's talk about it. So that first one, the total full moon at 15 degrees of Pisces, squares you, and it's in the 10th house. So this says to me that, there's going to be some potential challenge here to get a career off the ground. But, remember, eclipses are there to move stuff forward as well, or to end things. So it just may be that there's some Geminis that are trying to hold on to maybe more than one career. And the universe is saying, look, you got to let go of one of these. And you're just finding it difficult. And I do know a person that's in this situation, that they're doing a full-time job, earning their money, and have just completed their degree and are getting into a new career that requires a little bit of effort and time, but a lot more money will be involved coming their way. And it's a difficult thing to balance and get sorted out. For other Gemini, it may just be that this new career that you're starting or the career that you're in, you're required to maybe take some certifications of some sort, renew a license that you forgot about, and your boss comes to you and says, hey, you should have done this a month ago. Well, just do it. Just get it done, and that's it, right? Certainly, Pisces exudes a lot of compassion here. And so it may be, especially say if you're working in a profession that requires compassion, like typically we'll talk about something like a hospice setting or some type of charity work, could be hospital work. If you are a Gemini in that, you could have to be giving out more compassion and you're finding it challenging. Always seek help from other people if you can, with that compassion being big here at the Pisces full moon. Other people can step in and assist you, right? So don't forget that. Now, Gemini, when we look at the new moon, that'll be on the 21st of September, that squares your 4th house. Now, typically we talk about the 4th house as being your literal home, could be your childhood home, could be your mother, and generally speaking, it's your family. And so there's just going to be some challenges here. It could literally spell out difficulty trying to find, maybe you're trying to rent a home or buy a home, and there's just difficulties and challenges around it. I'm making this in advance towards the end of August 2025. Maybe this is a time, if you are, say, wanting to buy a home, make some efforts now to start looking at the market and identifying, say, somebody that can really help you, a real estate person that's really good. Really do some investigating now before we have the challenges come up, so that you can lean on that person to help you through the more difficult and challenging times. But this can also spell out as just some challenges with the family. And, but it is new, so there could be some new start here, but you may be the person that has to put the pieces in place here. And it's a little bit challenging for you to do that. Again, I always say, look to somebody else that could assist you. If it's, say, difficulties in the family, that you can align with and work together with them to bring the family together. I see this sort of as a building blocks type of activity that could work out just fine. But that Uranus element can also bring in, that I mentioned at the beginning here, Gemini, can bring in a shakeup of some sort. And maybe that shakeup's a good thing. People get enlightened and say, well, I didn't see that. I didn't understand that. In both your career, as well as maybe your family situation. But hey, Gemini, Uranus in your sign, just let go of things that need to let go of. For those Geminis that really have been in a stagnant situation, maybe for a long time, that Uranus, as it comes into aspect whatever is in your chart, is going to be positive in terms of setting you free, helping you break free of something that you don't want in your life anymore. That's what that whole Uranus is going to do for you, and provide enlightenment too, right? Take care, Gemini. So Cancer. Well, Cancer, you still have Jupiter in your sign, exuding, fabulous, expanding growth for you. It can also be bringing in advisors and or specialists that can give you information that makes your life better. But generally speaking, Jupiter in your sign is a very lucky thing. Jupiter just likes to bring you gifts and benefits and likes to shine a light on areas of your life where you're going to grow, and then it helps you grow as well. Now, the negative part of it is, for some Cancers, Jupiter can make you grow physically. Now, in some folks, that may be growth due to being pregnant. You can think about that. Let's get to the eclipses. So that total full moon eclipse at 15 degrees of Pisces is a fellow water sign, right? So we know it trines you. The trine just sets up easy moving energy at this eclipse, and it affects your 9th house. The 9th house, it covers a lot of things, the 9th house. Certainly, Cancer, if you were going to be taking a trip at this time, this is a fabulous setup for you to take a trip, no question of it. Especially a trip, say, either over water or around water. It also spells out favorable things legally if you're involved in some kind of legal, activity of some sort. The trine will bring favorable things your way. It also brings in just a very favorable pattern that has to do with foreign people, foreign lands, that type of thing. For those Cancers that are dealing with that, this is a favorable setup for you in that regard. The 9th house is also publishing. So for those Cancers that maybe have been writing things, this sets up maybe someone coming to you saying, I'll publish that for you, no problem. Now, it is a full moon, so it's a wrap up. So there may be, I would say probably some Cancers have been negotiating in one or all these areas that I've just mentioned. And this is the wrap up. This brings a concluding energy for you, right? Now, when we look at the second eclipse at 29 degrees of Virgo, it's on the 21st of September. Well, that sextiles your sign, Cancer, and it affects your 3rd house. And so the sextile is a more milder type of transit. It brings you opportunities, whether you want to take them or not. But this is a favorable aspect, right? And the third house, it says there may be some favorable communications of some sort. Maybe as a result of getting something published, you have communications coming through on that next eclipse, which is a new moon, that favorably support whatever you got published. And this doesn't have to be a big tome of some sort that you get published. It could be just maybe something at work that you've been working on is finished off, you published, and then you get this great feedback when people start reading it that maybe give you new opportunities to write more things. Third house can be writing, right? But it's also communications of any sort. So this is what I'm saying. New opportunities are going to come through with regards to communication. So make sure you're checking your text messages, your emails, and your mail for that matter as well. Especially around that 21st of September, you may have some new opportunities coming your way. Now, it also affects neighbors and your siblings. And again, this is favorable, new opportunities to communicate with both those groups of people. It's also sales and commerce. So there's going to be some Cancers that maybe get a new opportunity to get a sales and commerce project off the ground. Take care, Cancer. So, Leo, the big thing that you've got is that first half of September. You have lovely Venus in your sign. So it's going to go from around 2 degrees right the way through 29 degrees. So that covers a lot of signs and ascendants that are in Leo, the first half, right? So I'd say Leo's that first half of September you could attract in some really good stuff. For those looking for love, certainly you can attract in love at this time. That's going to be there in spades. But you can also attract in money. You can also attract in more value of yourself. You can attract in all three of these for the first 3 weeks of September, Leo. So take advantage of that, right? Like for those Leos that are, say, looking for love, make sure you're getting out, right? Now, Leo is about having fun. So make sure you're getting out that first half to fun events of some sort, because you could attract in. Venus is an attractor, right? You could attract in a love for yourself. But you can also attract in value for yourself, maybe through a creative project. That's very Leo as well. But you're going to get an opportunity here, Leo, somewhere between the first and the third week of September to truly express your authentic self. That's at the core of Leo energy, right? Venus is going to be attracting that in for you. So super positive, right? So any negative things that may happen, are going to be softened for you with the Venus in your sign. All right, let's get to the eclipses. So the first eclipse, that's a total full moon eclipse at 15 degrees of Pisces, is going to be in your 8th house. So we mainly talk about the 8th house and the 2nd house, which is the opposite house, as money houses. The 8th house being more money that you share with other people. It's your investments, it's your 401k, it's your pensions, it's where your mortgage is, it's where your credit cards are. So this may put a big spotlight. I'm just going to say the negative side of it is you find out that you owe a lot of money on your credit cards, and your available credit goes down at this time. I think a lot of people have had this happen, and you got to take some action here, right? Or for a positive standpoint, there's going to be some Leos that say, I've been spending too much money. I have to pay off my credit cards. And you make a plan for yourself in how you're going to do that. That would be an excellent way to use this, by the way. It's our psychological self as well, that 8th house. And so this could also bring up some psychological breakthrough. So for those Leos that have been maybe in some kind of psychological therapy or counseling, there may be some big aha moment that comes up here where you change how you think about things psychologically. And for some Leos, that change how you think about something psychologically could have something to do with the female. And that goes back to that whole Venus in Leo, the first half of September. Yeah, there could be something to do with a female here that's brought to light for you that affects you psychologically. Now, when we look at that second eclipse, that's going to be in your second house. And as I mentioned, that's a money house too. But the second house is the money that you earn, your income. It's also values of yourself, and it can also represent possessions. Now, this is a new start for you. So for some Leos, you may be starting a new job around that 21st of September. For others, you may be recognized for your value. For others, you may just decide, you know what, I'm going to buy some things here. I've got this extra money that I've been saving up, as reflected by that first total eclipse on the 7th. And I think I'm going to use some of this money to buy something for myself that I like. But it is a new start for you. And if you don't change jobs or change the income that you get, there could be some change in income that you get. You may get a bump up of some sort. And maybe that might be reflected in something like a bonus of some sort, that you've done a great job and your company wants to reward you for it. But certainly your value's going up here with the influence of Venus in your sign too. So expect, Leo, your value to go up in some way. And for some lucky Leos, that value is going to equate into money for you as well. Take care, Leo. So Virgo, you are going to have Mercury in your sign for the first half of September, followed by Venus in your sign for the second half, at least the last week, a little bit more than the last week of September. And so to me, this is influencing things like you're probably going to be signing contracts, maybe finishing off some writing projects, like collecting information that you need, important facts, with the Mercury part of it. And then the Venus is wrapping it up in a nice bow and presenting it. That's what I saw here with this, because you've got your eclipse also, which is a second new moon for you, Virgo, followed by your first full moon or first new moon in August. There's going to be a lot of Virgos here that are wrapping up some kind of contract work, some kind of maybe project that you've been working on, maybe a proposal of some sort, or maybe even a report. There's a big, big emphasis here for Virgo and collecting important information. And the whole month is this, starting with the Mercury, the first half, and then Venus, providing that nice bow over whatever you've been doing, and attracting in a lovely, beautiful piece of work. That's what I'm getting here for you, that last week or so, with Venus being in your sign. So that's a big influence. Yeah, you have the sun will be coming out of your sign, Virgo, and that's going to be around the 23rd, and it'll go into Libra. So you've got the sun shining in your sign almost the whole month, Virgo. The sun is the most important luminary in a chart, and even by transit, this is really supporting of you. And it could translate into a male figure supporting you through this whole month of September in a very positive way. That will end, like I said, around the 22nd, 23rd. Now, that second eclipse will, of course, support you in some kind of new start, too. I'll talk about that in a minute. Let's head back up into the eclipses. That first eclipse is in your opposite sign, which, of course, is Pisces. It's at 15 degrees of Pisces, and it's a total full moon. And so this falls in your 7th house. So there's going to be some wrap up with regards to partnerships, whether it's marriage partnerships, it could be business partnerships, it could be clients phase out in your life at this time too. So this is around the 7th of September. There's going to be some big wrap up of some sort. There could be some big wrap up also, though, with regards to your partner. So this may be specific to your partner, where your partner wraps something up. Maybe your partner has decided they don't want to do a business partnership anymore. And that's the activity that you see going on around that full moon on the 7th. And it has nothing directly to do with you. It's your partner doing it. But it still has an effect because it is your partner, right? It could be a wrap up too of clients regarding your partner too. Your partner may be switching out clients at this time and you're just there observing it, right? But it could be some big change highlighted with regards to a marriage at this time too, Virgo. And it may mean with Pisces, a lot of compassion has to be exchanged here and understanding at this time. But note also, you have to have compassion for yourself, Virgo, as well. Not always giving out compassion. So it may be, a give and take here that happens at the beginning of the month regarding, say, a marriage or a serious partnership of some sort. Or maybe even a business partnership. Maybe somebody in your partnerships is having issues and you have to help by being more compassionate and understanding. But there's always a line on that, right? Not to be too giving all the time. Both Pisces and Virgo have to be careful of that. But otherwise, you've got a lot of support coming your way. Certainly signing contracts and making money could be very much at the fore here as a positive outlook for you, September, Virgo, and a new start for you at that eclipse. But that eclipse at 29 degrees of Virgo was probably predicated by the new moon for some reason in August. So something happened new in August for you. So maybe something was brought to light for you. Virgo is all about important facts and information, but now has a new start with the eclipse part on the 21st of September. All right, busy month for you, Virgo. Take care of yourself. So Libra, we have Mercury in Libra the last half or so of September. And then, of course, you're going to have the sun will be going into your sign, Libra, and lighting you up around the last week of September. So those are two important shifts of the luminary, the sun, and then of Mercury. So I would say, certainly, if you've got to get involved in some kind of diplomatic type activity, or diplomacy has to be dispensed by you, or even any legal matters you have to get involved in, or laws are applying in some way, that last half may bring in some really good negotiations for you, for those Librans that are involved in something like that, right? Now, when we look at the eclipses, that first eclipse, that's going to be on the 7th of September, and it will be at 15 degrees of Pisces, falls in your 6th house. So there may be some illumination with regards to what? Your day-to-day job. If you do not do your job or a day-to-day job, it's what activities do you do? It may be a big change there for you. And it might be, because it's in Pisces, that you're having more compassion for yourself, that you realize you've got to take care of you. Maybe you're going to leave a job. Maybe you're going to decide to change within the job that you are in, and you have to leave one job to go into another, but you still stay in the company. But it's a total full moon eclipse. And as I said, it really is emphasizing to me, Libra, for you, have compassion with yourself with regards to the job that you're doing and the activities that you're doing. Now, the other thing that it can emphasize is health. So there may be some illumination with regards to health here. And certainly Pisces can be represented by institutions like, for instance, hospitals, but it can also be ashrams as well. And so again, going back to this whole thing of having compassion for yourself, Libra, I would say this might be a good time, even though the 6th house doesn't represent going to an ashram. I think it may also represent a time when you say, I'm going to take a break here and I'm going to explore the metaphysical world. That's very Pisces. And I am going to go to an ashram, and you make that decision. For some enterprising Librans, maybe you are going to set up something like an ashram yourself at this time. And that concluding energy is the final touches to that. Let me know for those folks that are doing that. I'd be interested. Now, when we go down to that next eclipse at 29 degrees of Virgo on the 21st of September, that falls in your 12th house. And the 12th house certainly is the metaphysical world. It is also hidden places, hidden things. Hidden places, like I spoke about earlier, are things like ashrams. They are like hospitals. It can even be government offices, prisons, all these things that are hidden behind the scenes, represented by that 12th house. It's also the place where, we hide things from ourselves, where we need to look at it. It's also where we could literally be cleaning up things in our life, right? Whether it's literal or sort of from a metaphorical standpoint, where we have to clean some stuff up that we've not been paying attention to. That could be good for you because it's a new moon start here for you, right? And be very positive. But I think when I look at this in combination, Libra, it's almost saying to me that, you've got to put some balance in your life here this month of September. And the universe is going to show you where you need that. You just need to look at things carefully and decide, how can I be compassionate with myself and others, but still take care of myself and make new starts for myself with regards to looking after myself here. And that looking after yourself may involve you cleaning up aspects of your life. I mean, I always say, and I physically do this when I need to clean stuff up and I don't know where to start. I start somewhere small. Maybe there's a desk that you've got clutter all over the desk and it needs to be, cleaned off. Start with that. Maybe it'll take 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Start with that and see where that leads your mind to go to. It's a simple thing to do to activate things in that 12th house. All right, take care of yourself, Libra. So Scorpio. Well, this is a lovely month for you because you've got sextiles and trines from the eclipses. So awesome. Now, we are going to have, I was going to look this up, but I'm looking that I've got Mars goes into Scorpio the last week. But let me just get, and of course, Mars rules your sign, but let's just take a look at, I didn't put the dates down, but let me just double check here. Yeah, Mars goes into your sign, Scorpio. It looks like the 23rd, the same day that the sun ingresses into the 0 degrees of Libra. You've got Mars at 0 degrees of Scorpio. And for the rest of that week, up to 5 degrees. So that latter week of September, 0 to 5 degrees of Scorpio is being activated. So if you've got something at any of those degree points, the latter half of September could be very activating for you in terms of moving forward with something, whatever that movement is for you, right, Scorpio? So yeah, pay attention to that. If you want to move something forward and maybe you're running into some frustrations where it's not happening, maybe try to do something that lasts or schedule things for the latter half of September, and in particular, the last week of September, because you'll be favorably featured here. Now, the other thing is, though, there's always two sides, at least to a planet's effects. This can also bring irritations for you, too, depending what it aspects in your chart. Certainly, let's just say some Scorpios have Mars somewhere between 0 degrees and 5 degrees. This could be, when Mars on top of your Mars could make you a little irritated. So just be aware of it, right? And maybe take action to get out and get some exercise at that time, if that pertains to you. Let's go to the eclipses now, because these are favorable for you, Scorpio. That first full moon, total eclipse at 15 degrees of Pisces, it trines your sign favorably. So that's energy working in the background to just make everything work fine. And it's your 5th house. There's going to be some Scorpios that have love in big bushelsfuls. For others, children are going to be very favorably featured for you. There's also this aspect of this creative project of yours wrapping up around the 7th of September in a very, very favorable way. 5th house is also about having fun. Now, it is a full moon. So maybe you have been having an awful lot of fun, and it is in a very nice way, concluding for you in some way. But featured big here are the children and love, for sure. Very positively aspected and wrapping up a creative project in some way. Now we look at that second eclipse. That's a new moon eclipse at 29 degrees of Virgo. And it sextiles your 11th house. So this says to me there's going to be a lot of new opportunities for Scorpios to develop new friendships, to join new groups, maybe even to have opportunities to have your hopes, dreams, and wishes come true in some way. Sextiles are a more milder effect transit than trines. Trines are just positive energy, whereas sextiles are saying, here's an opportunity for you. Do you want to take it or not? And so I'm thinking that what I'm getting from this is I think you're going to have friends present some opportunities for you to move forward with some maybe hope or dream that you have. Or maybe the groups that you belong to is going to give you that. Or maybe joining new groups is going to support you. Or maybe a new friendship that you make is going to support you in terms of making one of your hopes, dreams, or wishes come true. But friends are going to provide very favorable opportunities for you. You utilize them around that 21st of September. Take care, Scorpio. So Sagittarius. Now, Sagittarius, you are going to have those two eclipses square your 4th house and your 10th house. Squares are not all bad. Please don't think of it that way. It just means that you're going to have to probably overcome some obstacles of some sort to get where you want to be. And to get where you want to be for the first eclipse is going to be in your 4th house. And that is going to be around the 7th of September. It is a total full moon eclipse at 15 degrees of Pisces. It's a wrap-up of some sort. Now, quite simply, there's going to be some Sagittarians that wrap up a place they're renting, wrap up a home maybe that they're selling or buying at this time. And it can go either way. The square says it's not all going to be straightforward necessarily. You're going to have to put some effort in here somewhere to make it happen. Whether you're buying, selling a home, getting out of a rental place and trying to get in another. I'm making this towards the latter part of August. So if you are expecting you're going to have to do that, Sagittarius, any of those activities in September, plan now to take a look at the market. Plan now to take a look at what good real estate agents are out there. Get that information going now so you can lean on an expert at this time. Now, you could also have problems or issues come up with your family, in particular, maybe your mother, and you are required to help, right? And again, going back to when you're listening to this, Sagittarius, lean on other family members that might be able to, align with you to assist you to get over the challenges. Maybe you've got to set up some kind of win-win situation where there's, sort of unhappiness within the family members. And you have to set something up here to get everything to work together. Think about how you can utilize other people to either give you advice or participate in making this situation better, right? That's what I would say. And as I mentioned, if it's housing of some sort, start now. This is towards the end of August, figuring out who can I use, who is good. What areas do I want to live in? What potential places are available? Don't wait to the last minute. You may just, though, have some issues with your mother or a family member that, you're going to have to put some effort into maybe clear up some communications of some sort. It doesn't have to be a dire thing, Sagittarius, at all. Now, when we look at that second new moon eclipse, that's going to be at 29 degrees of Virgo on the 21st of September. Well, that also forms a square with you, but it involves now your 10th house. And so this is your career, your social standing, your reputation. There may be some Sagittarians that are literally starting a new career, and it's not all straightforward. You've got to take another certification of some sort. You're noticing that, oh, I've got something here, a license has to be renewed. And those things start coming up and say, I've got to handle this, I've got to handle that. It doesn't mean it's all bad. It just means that you're going to have to handle things a little bit here. But again, going back to what I said with the other square in the fourth house, look to people like mentors. Look to your boss, for instance, or other people above you to help you resolve these challenges. Don't try to do it all alone. But there may be some Sagittarians that just say, I've had enough of this career. It's taking too much out of me. And you make a solid decision at this time, Sagittarius. I'm getting out of this career. And the new moon part of it, which is the new moon at 29 degrees of Virgo, puts you in a state of mind of collecting important information that help you make a decision of what career you do want to go into, right? So for Sagittarius, we're looking at effects of the home and family as well as the career. One could affect the other could affect the other too. There may be a problem at home that affects your career. You may be working too hard in your career that affects your home and your family members aren't happy about it. And this September, you have to make a resolution to resolve those issues, right? And then everybody's happy. Now, I mentioned that, let's just see what else is going on here. Yeah, I mean, it's important for you to note that whole Uranus, that's going to be at 1 degree of Gemini in September. It opposes you, right? And so that may say, depending what you have aspected either in Gemini or in Sagittarius, say you have something around that 0-1 degree mark of Sagittarius, that Uranus, let's say it's your ascendant or your sun, that Uranus is going to be saying to you, I want to break free. And the breaking free may be to do with maybe a business association. It could be a marriage too, or it could be clients that you want to change up clients. But that Uranus in Gemini is in many respects a once in a lifetime. So for those early born Sagittarian, the Uranus may speak to you with regards to, I want to let go of something here. And you make that decision to let go of it. But it can also bring in a partnership too, by the way. That 7th house represents the house of marriage. And you could unexpectedly have someone come into view in September that is potential for you to have a marriage partnership. That could come in for those early born Sagittarians as well. So that's a positive thing too. Take care, Sagittarius. So Capricorn, you've got sextiles and trines with this setup of the eclipses this month. Super positive, right? So for that first eclipse, that is going to be happening, it's a total full moon eclipse at 15 degrees of Pisces on the 7th of September. Well, that's going to sextile you, Capricorn, and it is going to light up your 3rd house of communications. So this could be a wrap-up of a writing project that you've been doing. Maybe even a wrap-up of a contract that you've been working diligently at. It finally gets agreement, signatures, and dates around the 7th of September. The other thing this can bring up is opportunities for, say, a sales or commerce type initiative. Again, you may have been working very hard to put something together. This is the sign-off. This is the done deal. Now, it also is representing siblings as well as neighbors. Maybe you've been working with both or either to put something together. Again, maybe some initiative that involves your neighbors and siblings, and it's a wrap-up. You finally agree on whatever it is. Maybe you're putting together a neighborhood watch, and all your neighbors finally come to agreement how you're going to do it. Maybe it's something to do with your siblings, where there has to be some agreement. Maybe to do with maybe some will of some sort. That is then set in place. Or some contract that you have to enter into with your siblings is agreed to at this point too, at the full moon. But overall, its communications are wrapped up, and the communications can come in the form of a contract finalizing or writing that you've been doing finalizing as well. Now we look at that second eclipse at 29 degrees of Virgo on the 21st of September. Well, that falls in your ninth house. And this trine is just going to operate in the background to bring lovely opportunities your way, lovely energy your way in ninth house matters. Now, if you were doing that writing project and it was all finished off on the 7th at that eclipse in Pisces, that ninth house could represent you getting it published, because the ninth house does represent publishing. For others, some Capricorns may be actually going back to get an advanced degree. You wrapped up your first degree or your second, now you're going back for a third, maybe PhD of some sort. And that gets all approved for you, green lights all the way. The ninth house is also travel, though. So this could be you putting together some kind of travel plans that are really exciting for you, collecting the important information, putting together all the details of what you want to do at the new moon, right? Legal matters are represented by the ninth house too. So this could be a new start with regards to that. Maybe you're making a decision to put your will and trust together at this time. Actually, that would be a good activity to happen here. But the ninth house is also meaning in life. And so there's going to be some lucky Capricorns that really get some insightful things happening to them that provides this real solid framework of, hey, I've got some real meaning in my life right now. And it may be predicated by whatever happens at that full moon total eclipse on the 7th, where you wrap something up. And then that provides you a new start where you say, wow, can things get better? Maybe they can. Great time to plan and put all the details together for a trip. For sure. You want to publish something, great time to seek out a publisher. And you don't have to wait to the 21st when the new moon is. You could start that before that time. Seek out information, right? Take care, Capricorn. So Aquarius, you have the money houses aspected, right? And you also have Pluto in your sign. So we're talking about a month where money, whether it's investing or it is money that you share with other people or it's the income that you make, are all being featured here in September. The first eclipse that happens at 15 degrees of Pisces, which is a total full moon on the 7th of September, that falls in your second house of income. There's literally going to be some Aquarians that leave a job. You just make the decision that you're going to leave the job and start a new income somewhere else. It is also a month where there's going to be some Aquarians that decide to retire. Because you've got the opposite house, the 8th house aspected at the new moon on the 21st of September, there are definitely going to be some Aquarians that made the decision to stop working and now retire and access all their investments, 401ks, pensions, whatever else you've got that is saved money. You tap into that. That's got to be the number one thing that could be super positive here for Aquarius right now. And then with, of course, Pluto in your sign, transforming you, right? In a very positive way. Now, you're also going to be aspected by Venus. That's going to be in your opposite sign, which is Leo, right? At least for the first 3 weeks or so of September. Attracting in beautiful energy into the 7th house. So there may also be some Aquarians that attract in a love at this time, but probably a serious love, because the 7th house represents marriage partners. It also is business partners and clients. So those two types of people can also be attracted in at this time in a positive way, with Venus being in your opposite sign. And Venus can also represent money. So for those folks that say have their own business or in maybe a business partnership, or you have clients, you could attract in here, maybe even some famous clients, because Leo can also add an element of fame. So there's going to be some Aquarians that may attract in some famous clients that have a lot of money. And as I mentioned, that effect is kind of the first 3 weeks of September, Aquarius. Yeah, it's super positive. It will definitely, and it could just have, for some Aquarians, your partner starts earning more money. That Venus represents money. The seventh house represents your partner. And it's a positive thing for you, right? Now, that second eclipse, which is at 29 degrees of Virgo, and it's a new moon on the 21st of September, will be in your 8th house. So this is a new start with regards to what? Your finances that relate to shared things. So this could be shared banking accounts. This can be investments that you've made, 401ks, pensions of any sort. But it also represents things like your credit cards and your mortgage. And so you're going to be taking some new start in this area. There literally may be some Aquarians that have a new mortgage come out at this time. Or something as simple as getting a new credit card. Or maybe your credit availability goes up at this time. Again, going back to that Venus for the first 3 weeks being in your opposite sign, right? So that could be activated here too. Maybe there are some Aquarians that, have been relying on their credit cards too much. And they take a stance and decide, look, I've got to take some new start here with regards to how I use my credit cards. And they set up a plan, a payment plan, and stop using the credit cards and save their money that way and put that money maybe into, instead of spending the money, they actually clear up their credit cards with a plan of some sort. And I mean, you could reach out to, there's organizations that can help you put a plan together. That would also be a good activity at this time. But the 8th house also represents your psychological mind. And so there may be literally a new start with the way you look at facts and information at this time. Maybe you've been undergoing some psychological counseling, or maybe you start some new psychological counseling that help open up your mind to how you process things in your mind, right? Maybe even how you process things with regards to money and saving money, where you need your mind opened up a little bit to say, you need to be saving money, not spending money. I'm sure there's some Aquarians that can relate to that. The 8th house also is the house of sex and more serious, in-depth parts of a relationship. So there may be some Aquarians that start a new sexual relationship at this time too. Yeah, Aquarius, take care of the money situations as best you can. Start new things where you have to start new things to improve things. Access money where you need to access for those that are actually going to retire at this time. Perfect setup for that. And embrace maybe a new job. Yeah. For those Aquarians that want to leave a job, embrace that new job perhaps towards the latter part of September, when you've got the new start and the new moon, right? Take care, Aquarius. All right, everybody. That's it for me. A pretty powerful month, September. So I'm wishing everybody, as always, all the best, sending you lots of love. I am always open to hearing your comments. I love to do people's chart, to talk astrology and or tarot as well. All my services are below. It might be a good time to actually look at what's up for me next year, right? And I will be doing, as I do every year, a video for the whole year. And then I do each of your signs and or ascendants. But it's always good to get something, personalized for you as well. Might be something for some of my viewers to do once you go through this month of September. Wishing everybody all the best. Please take good care of yourself, and bye for now.